Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing today? You know, this is our third annual Autism Awareness and Acceptance event, and I have to say that it gets bigger and bigger every year. And as this is the first year that we have a governor with us, it probably has less to do with me and more to do with you. We appreciate you having you here to be among us here today. I am proud that this has become an annual event for us here in the Capitol, and we plan to bring people together each and every year to raise awareness and understanding in our communities every year while I'm in office. Last session, we were able to pass legislation like the Employment First Law, which prioritizes community employment for people with disabilities and aims to increase the number of people in community integrated jobs who are paid wages comparable to those without disabilities. We also passed Collins Law, which creates an optional and discreet way to help ease communication for people with those invisible disabilities so that the police, the interactions with the police can go more smoothly. And I look forward to continuing to take action with all of you to help build autism-friendly, inclusive communities by means of education, workforce development, and increased communication. I would like to thank the advocates of the Autism Society affiliates for your tireless efforts for all the accomplishments made for and by people with autism in their families. And here with me to recognize Autism Awareness Month in the great state of Wisconsin is our Governor, Tony Evers, to make a proclamation. Please help me welcome our Governor.
Thank you, Senator, for that introduction and all your good work on this topic. It's obviously a real important one, and it's an honor for me to be here today. It's my pleasure to be with you all as we celebrate Autism Awareness and Appreciation Day at the Capitol and Acceptance Day. And you know, for the last 30 years, we've actually seen some progress going forward, and really significant progress as it relates to autism diagnosis. And as a result of that research that's been done around the issue of diagnosis and the home and community-based services that's provided all across the state of Wisconsin, we've seen lives improve dramatically for individuals with autism and their families. But we know that the state of Wisconsin still has progress to be made and as it relates to investment in the care for our kids who need it most, and that's why I propose to eliminate the waiting list for the Children's Long-Term Support Program in my budget. And we can assure that every kid gets the care and support they need and the tools that they need to be successful. So, as we recognize Autism Awareness Month, may we use this opportunity to applaud the accomplishments of the kids and adults with autism and to increase public awareness about the challenges we still face and the work we have yet to do, and I know you'll be part of that work going forward. Therefore, my pleasure today to proclaim April as Autism Awareness Month throughout the state of Wisconsin, and to present you all with this official proclamation, which I have here in front of me. And it states at the very end, whereas the statewide effort to raise awareness by autism advocates will provide the opportunity to applaud the accomplishments of children and adults with autism and to educate the public on challenges still being faced. Now therefore, Tony Evers, Governor of the state of Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim that April 2019 as Autism Awareness Month. So thank you very much, everybody, for being here today, and I'm not sure.
Can we get a quick picture?
Nice picture. All right, the fun does not stop. My name is Rechelle Chaffee. I am with the Autism Society Southeastern Wisconsin, and I'll be moderating or facilitating today's event. On behalf of all of the Wisconsin affiliates, we would like to thank Governor Evers and Senator Roth for their support for this most important topic, raising autism awareness and acceptance. Next, we're going to hear from Jonah Gulisano. I worked on that last name. And I would like to say that he's quite a remarkable young person. He took second place in the Madison 2019 Project Soapbox Public Speaking Competition on the specific topic of autism and respect. Jonah.
Hello, my name is Jonah Gulisano, and today I'm here to speak with you about an all too real and current problem, which is autism awareness and respect. Autism spectrum disorder is a complex developmental disability that affects 1 in 59 births. Being autistic, I've been singled out for most of my life for being different. Not because of my skin, or my religion, or my appearance, but because of my neurology. You have no idea how many times I've been called retarded, stupid. But the time I remember the most is when I was in kindergarten. I was not done with the project. I was 6 years old. I told my teacher that I needed more time. She called me lazy and kept me in for recess. She wouldn't let me leave my seat until I was done. 6-year-old me was dumbfounded. I was respectful. I had tried my hardest. What had I done wrong? Nothing was wrong. I was punished for the way I was born. If that had been a physical difference, it would have been unacceptable. But it's not. So society turned a blind eye. That needs to change. We need to work on making a space where people can not only be physically different, but mentally different. We need to teach about autism so people understand it and it will become less alien. This has proven effective with issues such as race and gender identity. So going home today, I need you, all of you, to learn about the autism spectrum. Tell your friends, your family, and convince people that autism is not as strange or different as it seems to be. I wish for a day when anybody on the autism spectrum can say, I am autistic, without fear of ridicule or misunderstanding. Until that day, my rallying cry is, understand autism. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonah. I'd next like to introduce Erin Miller, who has served as an active member on the Autism Society Southeastern Wisconsin Board for over 2 years. She is an advocate for autism. She also serves as an active board member for the Urban Autism Summit in Milwaukee. Erin.
Why do I advocate? A big part of why I contribute my story as one of many complex, multi-layered humans. Autistic people are not a single story. Though the world around me seems to like extremes, I would like to think there is enough room for people in between the amazing wows and the economic impact stories. I think there is room for ordinary people to lead active, fulfilling lives. Life with me isn't all sunshine and rainbows. But it also isn't rain clouds and dementors from the Harry Potter series. Soul-sucking monsters are equally as unrealistic as unicorns. What you've got left is the weather report and human beings. Sure enough, some people have significant struggles as part of their story. And some have stories of nurturing their genius and excellence in their field. But there needs to be room for all kinds of stories. There needs to be room for slice of life stories as well. The story of a child learning to put on their coat when they're cold isn't as flashy as somebody graduating from the bar. But it's a victory that can be but it's a victory that can be equally as hard won. I wish I saw stories about a nurse doing dialysis who understands that a 58-year-old woman is not being a drama queen. She's having a meltdown. Autistic adults face unmet basic needs for want of understanding. A disability accommodation is a way of problem solving as citizens with both rights and responsibilities. And while it takes a village to raise a child, I've never seen a successful village that actively ignores their elders. You can't learn all about autism in one day, any more than you can learn a person all in one day. But awareness is the beginning, not the end.
Thank you, Erin. Next, I'd like to bring up Matt Ward, who is the owner of Matt Ward Enterprises. He educates on autism through public speaking engagements. He's also an artist specializing in fractal art. Thank you. And origami.
My name is Matt Ward. I am 40 years old. I was diagnosed with autism at the Weisman Center when I was 2 years old. In May 2005, I became the first person they ever know of with a full-blown autism diagnosis to get a 4-year degree from the UW-Madison. I achieved a degree in mathematics with a 3.347 GPA. I have lived by myself in my own apartment since 2003. I travel around the city by bus. I manage most of my own affairs, except for all the government paperwork. I have a budget to pay people to help me with all that boring administrative stuff. I have trouble communicating because I think in pictures, but I can read printed speeches much easier than I can hold a conversation. People who try to talk to me can't appreciate my intelligence, but I am very smart. I always did all my own homework in all my classes without help from my parents. My parents weren't even been able to understand my math homework after I was in the 5th grade. I worked very hard in school. My favorite subjects were math and science. I scored high enough on the advanced placement test for math that I could have skipped the first 2 semesters of college calculus. Instead, I only skipped the first semester and enrolled in a second semester honors calculus course at UW while I was still in high school. Even now, I still do calculus problems, build polyhedrons, and study chaos theory just for fun.
Especially me.
Like many autistic people, I have problems with my senses. I work best in quiet environments where I don't have to communicate much with other people. Looking other people in the eye is a big problem for me. It even disturbs me to look at my own face in the mirror. Because of these sensory problems and my communication challenges, I was unable to find a job that uses my exceptional math skills. Instead, I have been working part-time in the Central Madison Library for about 10 years. I love books and it was very easy for me to memorize the Dewey Decimal System. I also have a small business that sells my math-related artwork. My art includes complex origami pieces, plus fractal graphics, greeting cards, and pictures. I am a self-taught origami expert. I am a great example of how many people with disabilities are underemployed. I'd like everyone to remember that not all autistic people or people with other disabilities are the same. Lots of autistic people can carry on conversations easier than I can, and not all autistic people are good at math. All people with special needs are people first and deserve to be respected as individuals. Their needs are no different from anyone else. Many autistic people have problems and challenges that others don't, but neurotypical people often have problems and challenges that autistic people don't have. For example, Most autistic people never become politicians. Being autistic is part of who I am. Sometimes I have problems, but I am satisfied with my life. I enjoy my jobs and hobbies and am proud of my accomplishments. Being able to read speeches like this makes me feel like I finally have a voice of my own. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for that wonderful insight, Matt. Next, we're going to call up Al Kittle, who serves on the board and is a self-advocate for the Wisconsin South Central affiliate.
Thank you everyone for being here today. I'm especially grateful for the proclamation of Governor Evers and Senator Roth. We have made steady progress and I look forward to working with you and other administrations in the future to promote the goals and assistance that all of us on the spectrum typically need. Now, one of the things that we need to pay special attention to is that the definition of advocacy means pleading for, supporting, or recommending. We need to make sure that we understand each person on the spectrum has a different emphasis, that every person is wired differently. We have certain strengths and certain weaknesses, just like all of you. One of the things that especially is crucial is that we start understanding what people on the spectrum really need. And in order to do that, we need to be knowledgeable about the neurology that typically is widespread. That's why it's called a spectrum disorder. One of the things that has come to my attention is there's a number of information. We need to be able to connect the dots because a lot of the information out there is not known by most of the public. That's part of the reason I brought some handouts to show you some of the recent news that has made my attention throughout the internet and throughout the newspapers. That basically means that we need to be more supportive of all of the people and make sure that they're getting not only adequate employment, but also adequate assistance to live on their own. That's the goal. And I hope that we can come together, and obviously that's part of the reason I'm here, because I had a number of numerous challenges when I was growing up. My mother had to assist me through my grade school and normal school, and I finally got my rhythm when I attended college, and they readily recognized that I was on the spectrum and gave me all the time I needed. Unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't make it down to the primary schools. We need to make sure that we're getting them the appropriate help that they need without the restrictions. Because once you recognize that they are on the spectrum, you need to understand how it presents itself with that person. So try to understand, more than anything, what I want all of you to do is get all of the information that you know and start networking with the public, because you have a unique set of skills, recognizing your children. You understand them better than anyone else, and that means that you need to share that information as widely as possible. Otherwise, that doesn't get into the public arena, and therein lies part of the problem. We need to communicate what we need, but every person is different. So please, share your story as widely as possible and build that diversity. And if any of you need additional information, I did bring some handouts that I'm more than willing to share with you. And I appreciate all of the efforts that every single member here has done to promote those on the spectrum and those with other additional neurological diversity issues. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to call our final speaker, Scott Allen, who is also on the board at the Wisconsin South Central affiliate. And once again, in the essence of time, we'll have Scott wrap up. We'd like to thank you all for supporting Autism Awareness and Education and Acceptance Day. And feel free to see any of us, including Jeff, afterwards if you have additional questions needed. Thank you.
I apologize in advance, this might be a little longer than we originally intended. But thank you for the honor of addressing so many leaders and supporters in our autism community. I'm Scott Allen. My diagnosis is Asperger's syndrome. I spent childhood loving dinosaurs, pursued paleontology in college, had to change paths afterward, then obtained a master's in counseling. I've been speaking publicly about autism issues since 2002. I moved to Madison in 2016 and did autism-related work at the Weissman Center for 2 years. Since 2017, I've also been working at the McBurney Center as co-facilitator of an empowerment group for UW-Madison college students on the autism spectrum. I've been on the board of the Autism Society of South Central Wisconsin since May of 2018. I'll also be working at Westside Psychotherapy here in Madison, specializing in counseling adults on the spectrum, and I hope to get a PhD to study adults on the spectrum so my research can benefit them. Autism awareness is the starting line, not the finish line. A first step toward tolerance, familiarity, acceptance, and appreciation. To be aware of autism is not the same as valuing or being open to it. And we must promote societal change beyond awareness. Awareness is the stone that supports the bridge, not the destination on the other side. With that in mind, I have 4 points for the general public and the autism community to be aware of. First, be aware. Autism diagnoses say almost nothing about abilities or attitudes. The autism spectrum is so diverse that most statements about it are very incomplete. It includes people who cannot participate in public life, people who make some of history's most brilliant contributions, and every other combination of abilities and outlook imaginable. The differences in outcome can outweigh neurological similarities. In fact, this diversity is so extensive that we are divided within it. Be aware, there are invisible walls in our autism community. Walls between different kinds of functionality, between professional and volunteer communities, between adults on the spectrum and other stakeholders. We still have deep disagreements over the meaning of and response to autism, and this splits our political voice. To unify, we must break the invisible walls through personal contact, share perspectives with honesty, civility, and compassion, and seek the best evidence in science and policy. We must focus on positives while addressing negatives, and all our stakeholders should interact so we do not get stuck repeating cliches, but instead devise new attitudes and approaches. Be aware that autism diversity also means racial, ethnic, gender, ability, and neurological diversity. Autism occurs in all groups of people, yet outcomes for those who are not white, well-off, or normative are usually worse due to social inequality. Let us reach out to all these communities for solidarity. Second, be aware that we on the spectrum have existential concerns. We face more than clinical deficits. Who are we? What is our place in society? Are we legitimate? Such concerns cannot be cured. Our distinctive traits unavoidably lead to different worldviews, attitudes, and opinions which we face every day. So don't suppress how we naturally think and feel. Be aware that our way of being is as legitimate as yours. We on the spectrum are often asked to tell our life stories and not much else. We are asked about our development, childhood, schooling, becoming adults. Good questions, but narrow. Ask us also, when possible, about love, loss, hope, fear, why we value or reject, and other inescapable human questions. Most people, including us, don't speak the language of human complexity, so the complexity of our differences goes unappreciated. We deserve no shame for who we are, so be aware that mostly we don't suffer from being on the autism spectrum. We suffer from being dismissed, degraded, and devalued in a culture of excessive ranking, obsessive competition, and a stubborn disregard of other perspectives. Rejecting our own traits does not solve this alienation. So be aware, communication issues are not our defect. They exist between us and others. Yes, those on the spectrum often have difficulty interpreting others, yet neurotypical people also have difficulty interpreting us. Don't shame us for a mutual process. Third, be aware. We need a model of growth and dignity, not this model of deficit and disorder. Yes, some of us face such severe impacts that growth is minimal and personal choice means only simple preferences. Yet what puts more knowledge, choice, and self-respect into our hands is worth it. Growth and choice are matters of degree, not either or.
Research on Down syndrome and minority college students shows that growth-oriented attitudes and actions help people do much better. Be aware that this growth needs challenge. Don't say, that's how they are, they can't change. Don't sell them short. To further someone's potential, you cannot coddle them. Yet I worry, you may think that coddling means no support or no sympathy, and that's false. Healthy challenge needs lots of support and sympathy. Without these, challenge is unhelpful, even damaging. Challenge those on the spectrum to grow. Don't push them past their limits. Respect their values, goals, and abilities. They cannot suck it up or just deal with it. What they face is so complex and uncertain. They need unique methods. Even we who get by on our own need supports, whether formal or personal, to thrive. Fourth, be aware that kids on the spectrum become adults on the spectrum. Those adults are not well researched, especially those most challenged or gifted. Mandatory supports end at age 22. Serious barriers block adult diagnoses. We face mental health problems since there's no good path to meet our social needs or find stable jobs that suit our education. About 70% of us are un- or underemployed. These job problems are mostly about workplace culture, misunderstanding, bullying, and other things resolvable through education, exposure, and accountability. Business owners, be aware, many on the autism spectrum make persistent, loyal, effective workers. With a few accommodations, that causes a develop. You are missing some of the most consistent, productive employees. Be aware, we're not all good at math and computers. This stereotype limits our opportunities. Many of us excel at English or art or history, things qualitative, not quantitative. I hope business leaders will stop assuming that autism means they belong in the IT department. Adult self-advocates should be more aware of research, policies, and people that influence autism attitudes. How autism is interpreted is how we are interpreted. This ignores our individuality. Others see us through the lens of concepts, groups, and pundits representing voices that are rarely our own. We must be more informed to confidently influence our own destinies. To sum up, much of what we need is to convince neighbors, co-workers, even friends and family, to apply the solutions we already have. We deserve rights and basic respect like everyone, but is this valued? In this community, we talk a lot about treatments and not enough about how we are treated. Beyond awareness is the freedom to participate in society without being forced away or frowned upon. To accept another human is not based on facts alone, it's a choice from within. If others choose not to accept us on the autism spectrum, society will devalue us no matter how many studies or supports exist on our behalf. Awareness is the starting line. The finish line is when others treat us without fear, hostility, insult, or condescension, when we can live with comfort or personal pride, not categorical shame. We will know that finish line has been crossed when we are seen not as social invalids or permanent children, but humans who deserve rights, fair opportunity, and dignity. We don't all have the same potential. We do all deserve to develop what potential we have. Reject ignorance, exploitation, and hostility. Accept others for who they are and who they can become. Reach out to your communities and look inside yourself for strength. Thank you, Governor Akers and Senator Roth, and thanks to all who made autism awareness an official position of the state of Wisconsin. Thank you again for the honor of addressing our community. Be well and do well.
There's not much I could add to that, to follow that. Scott, thank you for those very thoughtful, meaningful words. I'd like to open it up. Thank you once again for coming. Are there any questions that you would like us to address as a larger forum now? Okay. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.